What's up, fellas? It's your main man back on the scene with another video. And Coulter, alleged istaphobe, racist, homophobic, what's the other word? Transphobic, allegedly. Kamala Harris isn't foundational Black American, which is true. Trump is an awful, awful person, which is probably true. See, I don't vote for people because I like them. I think that's where people get the game messed up. I was told never fall in love with a stock because it'll make you broke because you hang on it too long, even when the company's doing bad. You should be willing to get rid of that stock the moment it's no longer profitable for you to hold it. You should treat your politicians the same way. Never fall in love with a politician. They're not your friends. Never fall in love with the party. You should treat them just like you treat stocks. When they are no longer useful, you get rid of them. We as Americans, we tend to vote and fall asleep. We don't hold them accountable. We just vote and put them on autopilot. As we see today, we can't do that. With today's technology, we have something our parents didn't have. You can call them, email them, go to their office. You got to stay on them. When what they say is not happening, you got to get on their ass. Get on that horn. You even have the site. I forgot what it's .gov. There's a site where you can see what they're voting on in Congress. I think I'll link it below once I get done with this. You got to stay on their ass, man. Never trust them. We're not friends. Always keep that in mind. So we're going to do a little something different. Since she's a woman, we got to see what the body look like. So she's flat back. Don't have much going on back there. She's slim. She got the vanilla pancakes going on. Another one, yeah. She got the flat back going on. She got the vanilla pancakes going on. I don't know if I'll let her come to the party. Maybe a couple drinks. It's 1 a.m. in the morning. Ain't nobody else in the club. Damn. I'll scoop this one up. Yeah, she's skinny. Maybe 3 Long Islands. I might let her into the party. I'm just playing. Let's check this out, man. This is very interesting. I haven't watched the whole thing. I just watched up to this point where it seems like it's about to get to the clips that I saw. So let's finish this off from here. Let me make sure I got it at 1.25. Yep. Let's do it.
And about you, and do you feel any retaliation about speaking against him?
Thank you, Tab.
And thanks for your time.
Ms. Coulter.
I want to go through the comments first. The politicians talking about their family. Yes, of course, family is very important, but we're going to see that. There are biographies written about politicians. What I'm referring to about going on about the families is that it's an identity thing, that because you are the son of a postman, that's a reason to vote for you. Because you're the child of an immigrant, that's a reason to vote for you. That's what I really, really hate. And in Trump We Trust, I looked up all of the debates. I'm telling you, every single debate we had to hear about, the hard luck story and basically what losers these guys' fathers were at every debate. No, please tell me what you're going to do. We're going to see your family.
Exactly. What are you going to do? What you gonna do?
That can't remain hidden. As for Minneapolis, I don't think anybody thinks the BLM riots are going on now. So you are under a misapprehension on that. But we do have a recollection of protests that did.
To be fair, the caller was saying, I walked the streets at 11 p.m. and nothing was going on. And when she was speaking on the violence, it was during the BLM riots.
Multiple millions of dollars worth of damage, destroyed, up to 60 businesses, and actually burnt down the 3rd precinct in your city. So I think people remember that. And, thank you very much, Tim Walz, for specifically holding off sending in the National Guard for 4 days, even with the very, very left-wing mayor of Minneapolis begging for the National Guard to be sent in. But no, Tim Walz did not refuse to send in the National Guard. And not only that, his daughter was tweeting out to the protesters, hey, word to the wise, get the word out, National Guard not being sent in, in case anybody wants to know.
And they want this stuff to go on. It's insidious.
It takes a while to rally the national. She was actually tweeting advice to the destroyers, the people burning down businesses. And his wife weirdly said that during the riots, she kept the windows to the governor's mansion open so she could smell the burning tires. Wow. What was the question? I don't even remember.
Cav wanted to know what nickname Donald Trump has given you.
Oh, not a nickname. Has he attacked me? Good grief. Do you pay attention to the news? Now, in his defense, I attacked him first. I attacked him, throughout his presidency. I started slowly with gentle, constructive criticism. I didn't leak this, but I think our shouting in the West Wing was so loud, there are any number of people who could have leaked it. It came out about 3 months later. In February or March of his first year in office, I showed up in the Oval Office, and we had a screaming and cursing fit.
Over immigration?
With me Yes, and also trade. He had done nothing about the trade issues that he had promised to at that point. He was letting Paul Ryan run the country.
This is why I'm not gung-ho about any politician. And a lot of it is our own fault because we vote and sleep. You got to stay on them. And what are you doing? You said you was going to do this. What you going to do?
I said he wasn't doing anything different than Jeb ! Would have done. He made a promise. Where's the wall? When are you starting? When are you deporting the Dreamers? And yeah, it was quite a long cursing argument. Publicly, I started my border wall construction update, which I would send out every day during the Trump administration. Miles built today, 0. Miles built yesterday, 0. Next update tomorrow. I did that, basically throughout the Trump administration. He finally started.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why I don't jump on the bandwagon. If he had the power to do it, then why didn't he do it? Just like he didn't deport the Dreamers. Is he going to do this mass deportation like he said he's going to do? I don't know. That's why I'm kind of like, because he's kind of like wishy-washy on the subject. When they ask him about blended families, some are legal, some not. Are you going to break up families? Yeah, they broke the law. Take a flight and go visit them.
To build the wall or a fence, whatever. In his last year in office, and according to his own Homeland Security Department, built 47 miles. So let's hope with J.D. Vance, let's hope he's learned his lesson and will actually keep his promises this time. But no, he has viciously denounced me on Twitter several times. I'm always just, out and about minding my own business, and people start emailing me, why is Trump attacking you? What did you do? So yeah, of course, yeah, he's attacked me. He is not famous for his loyalty, but once again, he's the only person running. I mean, it's between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, and there's no chance of a wall with Kamala Harris. She's the one. I'm sorry, no matter how much she tries to run from her responsibility, Biden put her in charge of immigration. And that is the number one issue. Mass third world immigration, it's what now, 12 million have come in just under the Biden administration. They are hauling them in as fast as they can. It's an utter disaster. And I saw one of her speeches, maybe it must have been the Las Vegas one yesterday, claiming that she is for border security.
Yeah, after they let them all in already. Military age men, don't know who they are. Brilliant.
Yep, they all say it. I'm for it. Unless they're building a wall, they're not for border security because nothing else will work. The rest is just words, 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 and that's all we get for 20 years. Every presidential candidate, oh, we need border security, we need boots on the ground, we'll have drones. What are boots on the ground going to do? Are you going to shoot them? What are drones going to do? What, so we can amuse ourselves watching them run across the border? Our country's gone, but that was funny at least. We can entertain ourselves. No, unless the drones are dropping bombs, what does that do? I have a chapter in Adios America. Why can't we do what Israel does? Israel is a country with a little self-respect, and it has a wall. And wow, the first year the wall was up, it cut down, I think it was 98% of illegal immigrants getting.
Oh, so it's good for them. But for us, it's racist. Medieval. But it works in Israel. Let's rock and roll.
Getting across. This was reported in the New York Times. 98% success wasn't good enough for Israel. They found the weak points and made it even stronger, put up like turrets and cages, and whoa, you get across into Israel. No, there is no being, flown into the interior of the country. No, you are held in cages at the border, and when you want to go home, you can go home, or you can stay where you are. We'll keep you well fed. You won't die, but you're not coming into the country. Whereas the Biden policy,
right idea.
Free food, free medical care, free housing. All of which, incidentally, right now.
So they're supposed to be our best friends. It's all right for them. They don't get criticized for that. But if we want to do the same thing, it's bad. This country is a joke.
Laws on the books are against the laws of the United States. Even a legitimate refugee, not one of these is legitimate, has to be held until a final determination of their immigration status. Anyone trying to get into our country legally or certainly illegally has to be checked for have all vaccinations, no contagious diseases, has to be provably will not become a charge of the United States. These immigrants are walking in being given their welfare cards. You've been giving we'll sign you up for your SNAP benefits. No, that is against the law right now. Has to not have any criminal associations, any terrorist associations.
Yeah, there's enough laws on the books already. They don't need any more laws. They need to enforce them. But they don't want to. Because someone is trying to make some money off these people. They're using them for slave labor. Plain and simple. They want to bring down the pay rate in the United States. And the UK is going through the same thing.
So don't tell me that Biden-Harris need a border bill to stop what's going on at the border. Trump managed to do it, and he wasn't even going gangbusters. And right now we can see the laws on the books prohibit what that head of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are doing it. They are doing it intentionally.
Is it true you told Vivek Ramaswamy that you couldn't vote for him because he is, quote, too Indian?
Not too Indian. I said I liked many of his positions, but I would not vote for an Indian for president. I think president is different, and so did the founders, at least in a sense. From the very beginning, you had to be natural born, which says something. But I feel like many of our constitutional rights, free speech, for example. Oh my gosh, even Britain will not respect free speech. Thank God we have a First Amendment, and the right to bear arms. These are very unusual provisions. It's very important to our country. I think it would be other countries would be.
Those are two of the main amendments: freedom of speech, right to bear arms. In Britain, they don't have that. So here, if the government's not acting right, people have the means for a course of action. UK, I don't know what they're going to do. And they don't have the First Amendment. So all the faults they had in Britain, they used the Constitution to fill in those holes. So it's a great document. I know there's some racism in there. But overall, it does have some great, provisions. I think how they refer to the Indians as savages. So go read the Constitution. Everyone should have a copy of it. I had one, but guess when you moved, it got destroyed in stores. So I have to get a new one.
Be wise to follow us rather than us following their crap-ass countries. But freedom is a wonderful thing. It's a hard thing to be learned. And I said I'd vote for his kids. His kids will have been here long enough. But I want someone to have been here. And by the way, I've said it a million times on Twitter that I think immigrants should wait 3 generations before they start bossing us around, because we have an unusual and an unusually successful, prosperous, the nation that shines and gleams the most.
Yeah, I agree. It had to be like 4th generation before I consider it. Because you don't know if they still have an allegiance to their homeland. Like 1st and 2nd? No. Maybe 3rd and 4th. They've been here, they're Americanized.
In the world. But to understand how to live with things like a right to bear arms, due process, states deciding things instead of the Constitution, and at the moment, because it's so much under threat, the right to free speech. There is no such thing as hate speech. Oh, incidentally, that's what I did speak at Cornell, my alma mater, this year, and it was completely arranged by Nadine Strossen, the former head of the ACLU. We used to debate all the time, and I told her, I've interviewed her a couple of times on my Substack. She's so fabulous, and I told her, all this time when you were defending free speech, I thought this was just a front. So the
She must have had a facelift. Looking at those pictures on Google. She was a little better here. So maybe 2 Long Islands. She can come to the party.
ACLU can defend pornographers and communists. Now it turns out you, not the ACLU, but you actually believe in free speech, and she has become such a free speech hero. So I was shut down at my alma mater a couple of years ago, and she just kept harassing the administrators and the provost and the president. And this time when I spoke, the provost introduced me. I was invited by Cornell itself, not by a group on campus. Then a college professor further introduced me. The room was lined with police, just to be sure. But it's kind of a big thing, because these universities all sign free speech pledges, but then they don't enforce them. And thank you, Nadine Strossen. I recommend her book too.
Most of these colleges are extreme left. They should be in the center. They shouldn't be left-leaning. They shouldn't be right-leaning. They should be in the center. But they are extreme left. I would never send a child of mine to any of these colleges.
It's free speech, and then I don't know why it's necessary. It's a really, really wonderful book.
Greg is in Virginia, Independent Line. You are on with Ann Coulter. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, good morning. I just got a quick comment and then a question. So I'm frustrated because I don't see either party really addressing things like the national debt, which I think is a very serious problem. I don't even think Trump is addressing it in a serious way.
They're not.
And we need some things like we need tax reform, we need entitlement reform. I mean, congressmen should be running down Constitution.
As far as I'm concerned, welfare should be replaced with homesteading. With welfare, we're not getting anything. You're paying women to have children on their own, as opposed to giving young families a start. I'd rather spend my money on that than to give single women money for kids that they can't afford. Go home to your family. That's what should happen. They don't have that anywhere else in the world. They seem to be able to get along, to get by. The same thing should apply here. We got to get rid of that stuff, man. If it's not for uplifting people, it shouldn't exist.
Constitution Avenue with their hair on fire because our economy is going to go off the cliff, and no one is addressing it.
Thank you, Greg. Ann Coulter, debt.
The caller is absolutely right. And the problem is politicians have an incentive to do things today that will make people happy and let future politicians 20, 30 years from now deal with the fallout. So, I mean, to the extent any party talks about this at all, You got to admit, caller, it is only Republicans. But no, I don't think there will be enough votes for that. There are things that are popular that would help the issues that the caller mentioned. As I always say, fixing immigration makes everything easier. The amount of money being sucked out of the federal government by immigrants is astronomical. They always fiddle with the numbers to hide it. But I mean, just the translators, the massive amount of crime being committed by immigrants, which is also.
They're stealing your money to give it to someone else.
We've been screwing you for years, so a few more seconds shouldn't matter, now should it? How you doing, Dick? Just implementing our own personal plan of deregulation, Mr. President.
You were born here. You worked. You paid taxes. They didn't do any of that. Your money should go back to you, your fellow Americans, not to someone who broke the law and came here illegally. If some company wants a bunch of people here to work at their company, they should pay for it. They should be paying for their hotel rooms, their food, everything. They should pay for that, not us. People always bitching about socialism. What they're doing for corporations, that's worse than socialism. It's rock and roll.
So lied about, covered in Adios America. The judges, the public defenders, the jail cells, the English as a second language classes. And this is to say nothing of, I mean, New Yorkers are getting a taste of it now. It used to just be the border states and places like California. The enormous, giant, heaping amount of welfare being given to immigrants, legal and illegal, compared to native-born Americans and or American-headed households. And by now, since Reagan's amnesty, that includes a lot of very recent immigrants.
You see that? That's why I say don't fall in love with the party. Reagan, the god of the Republicans, granted amnesty. You can't trust these guys, man.
Nino don't trust a motherfucker.
And that should be thrown up in Trump's face, too. Are you going to do another amnesty like Reagan? You got to stay on these guys, man. Don't fall in love with these guys. They're not your friend. Your main interest should be you and your wallet. It's rock and roll.
Illegal immigrants collect the most in illegal immigrant-headed households. And I'll tell you why I say that in a second. Collect vastly the most amount of welfare, followed by legal immigrants, followed by American-headed families. And the reason I say American-headed or illegal...
What the entire... Let's go.
It is one of the ways they lie about this, is by counting illegal aliens who drop an anchor baby as American. That's an American. And, you know, what does most welfare go for? It goes for the kids. It's the illegal alien anchor baby who's sucking in all the welfare to support his entire family. And no court and no Congress has ever said, officially ruled that the child of illegal immigrants is an American citizen. That was a footnote in a Justice Brennan opinion. It was dicta. It was not part of the ruling. And now...
That needs to be challenged. Where the constitutional lawyers at? Where's the black lawyer class at? You guys should be fighting this stuff.
Now everybody just acts like it's true. That is something that Trump absolutely could have changed with an executive order. The great federal judge, and boy, he's not a conservative.
See that? He could have fixed that, but he didn't. This is why I say I don't trust him like that. And he needs to be confronted with that. Stop falling in love with these guys. Worshipping them. They're just another man. What you need is more important than that mofo.
Richard Posner, he was for a while the most, I think he's retired now, but the most cited federal judge, absolutely brilliant man. And again, whoa, not a conservative. He used a concurrence in one of his opinions years ago to beg Congress to deal with this custom, this treatment of anchor babies, acting like the children of illegal aliens are American citizens. No, the 14th Amendment was written specifically about former slaves. That's what it was about. Even the former planner on the Supreme Court said, this is about freemen. This is...
There it is. But there were times when the Democrats had the presidency and both houses, and I believe the Republicans had the same thing. Either party could have fixed that, but they didn't. You can't trust these guys, man. I'm telling you. Stop falling in love with these fools. Get on their ass. Their phone number is listed. They have an office in your town or somewhere near your town. Call them. Stop in their office. Send them an email. Harass them. That's your legal right. Get on their ass.
It's about former slaves. They are citizens. They were born. They are citizens of the jurisdiction in which they live. It is not about an 8-month pregnant Mexican running across the border and dropping a baby. You really think that's what the country was thinking about immediately after the Civil War? It is exclusively about black people. Congress should pass a law. Oh, Harry Reid, former Democratic leader of the Senate. He used to give speeches on this on the Senate floor, how insane the treatment of this creation of anchor babies is. Really ferocious speeches. But then I guess Democrats realized, hey, the immigrants are voting for us. Let's keep the gravy train going.
Yeah.
And Coulter is the author.
There you go. You hear that? Black folks. That law was written for you. And you don't even fight about it. Or stand up for it.
Author of 13 New York Times bestsellers. My guess is that you'll find them on her website, Coulter.com. Peter is calling in from Valley Cottage, New York, Republican line. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, good morning. Good to see you, Ann. Governor Glenn Youngkin of Virginia just signed an executive order cleaning up the voter rolls in Virginia. And I heard it reported that there were about 80,000 listings that they took off for people who had died or people who had moved. And there were about 6,000 names of people who were not American citizens. So, Ann, they had a guy on Washington Journal earlier last week, Mr. Becker, I believe his name was, talking about how...
You have to remember, Trump lost by, if I'm not mistaken, 48,000 votes. So that can't add up. 6,000 here, 5,000 over there. It can add up. I still think that the Dems pull the midnight hocus pocus. We can't prove it. There's no way I'll buy that. Jim Crow Joe got more votes than Obama.
The electorate is being monitored and that there aren't these illegal people voting and we have nothing to worry about. In your opinion, do you believe that is the case? And do you believe that they actually are taking these people off the voter rolls?
Thank you, Peter.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they're taking them off. I'm sure Governor Youngkin did, and every Republican governor ought to be doing this. Of course, there are illegals voting. That's Loretta Sanchez got elected. What was that? 30 years ago, she beat Bob Dornan. It was proved that there were heaps of fake ballots, and that was enough for her to win. I think Dornan shouldn't have challenged this, as I've said to Republicans a million times. Even if an election is stolen, do not contest it. You will always look like a sore loser. Just run again. And actually, Richard Nixon, I see C-SPAN is celebrating.
Contested. Forget that sore loser stuff.
the 50th anniversary of his resignation. By the way, why wasn't he a selfless hero the way Biden is? Anyway, there's reasonably good evidence that an election was stolen from him. Eisenhower encouraged him to contest it against John F. Kennedy. And he said, no, for the good of the country, I'm not going to contest it. I forget his first name, Thune from, what is that, North Dakota? South
John
Dakota?
Thune?
John Thune. He clearly, unquestionably had an election stolen from him. He had won the election, and then suddenly all these ballots come in from Indian reservations that, weirdly, like 99% of them voted that year. He did not contest it. He was
Yeah, it's the same game. Man. I'm not for mail-in ballots unless you're military. Everyone else, you should have to walk in there and cast your ballot, your vote.
a gentleman about it, and he went on, I don't know, 2-4 years later, to beat the Senate the Senate leader, Tom Daschle, or minority leader, I guess it was, which that was historic. People will reward you. Anyway, Dornan contested Loretta Sanchez's victory. He was right on the facts, but he shouldn't have contested it. Another one, Al Franken, he won by some minuscule amount in Minnesota. And over the next few years, there were enough convictions for illegal voting that it would have switched the election. And you have to understand that to get a conviction for voting illegally, you have to admit you knew it was illegal for you to vote. So even if you voted illegal, it's a tough crime to prove. And I believe it was more than 1,000, though don't hold me to that. That's a while back. So yeah, I mean, frequently, provably, people vote who aren't allowed to vote, overwhelmingly Democrats, duh, which is why my proposal is, which will never happen until Republicans hold the House, Senate, and the presidency, and probably not even then because they're always not doing anything, is one day to vote. I mean, the Constitution refers to election day, at least.
Yeah, I agree with that. Come in, start early in the morning, 6 a.m., whatever, and I guess end at 8 p.m. So you have like 14 hours. Get it in. None of that mail and stuff. Unless you're military.
At least for federal election, there should be one day because yes, Democrats are going to cheat. They have what we call unmotivated voters, whereas Republicans really like to go out and vote at the polls. It could be raining, snowing. No, Democrats have to deal with their unmotivated voters. So the longer you give them this early voting and mail-in voting, they have to drag their voters
I don't like that shit.
To the polls on a gurney. Give them 6 months, they're going to get a lot of voters there. So I think there should be one day to vote. And Democrats can lie, cheat, and steal all they want, but they get 24 hours to do it. And I suppose states could pass these laws. That is my solution right there. Simple and clean and constitutional.
Last call for Ann Coulter is Belia in Harlem, Democrats line. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Peter. And good morning, Ms. Coulter. I thank God for you. And yes, I am a Democrat. And I can't tell you, I was just listening to what Peter read a few moments ago, that piece about Kamala Harris and her being, grabbing onto her quote-unquote blackness. I'm 54, and you're absolutely right. And yes, former President Trump mentioned that about her, all of a sudden finding out or becoming black. But again, I'm 54, and I remember, it is brought back to my remembrance that during her time, what was it, a prosecutor or a district, whatever she was doing, if anyone were to bring up about her being black or saying that she was black, she had a visceral reaction to that in her body language. She did not want to be thought of as black, and certainly as a prosecutor, back then, she had put so many black people, and particularly black men, in jail. And unfortunately, black people have a very short memory span, and it's hurting us. It's hurting us right now.
All right, Belia, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you for calling in. Ann Coulter.
Well, even
Black people's memory span is about 5 minutes. They're all gung-ho about Trump being racist. But you'll vote for a man, his best friend was a goddamn Klansman. What's his name? Strong Thurman? Come on. God damn.
even if she had always, and thank you very much for your call, even if she had always claimed to be an American black, it's simply factual that she is not a foundational black American. And again, that is why
shout out to Tariq. It's catching on, man. I mean, the term has hit mainstream. And I think it was a good idea that he came up with that for lineage. You know, let's say she is black. She's not one of us. She's from somewhere else. And that's okay. But acknowledge that you're from a separate tribe. It's okay. But, like I said in another video, Obama, me and the guy who was talking about that, and I warned him to his idea, because he was saying he wasn't black. I'm like, what do you mean? He's not American, is what he meant. He's from somewhere else. His father's from somewhere else. He doesn't share the same lineage that we have. He didn't grow up like us. And that's a big deal when you think about it. Let's continue. Let's see what she has to say.
America has all of these provisions like affirmative action and set-asides and civil rights laws. It is because of the shame and guilt about slavery and Jim Crow, both little Democratic enterprises, by the way. So it all has to be spent on Black Americans, not on any loser with a grievance from around the world. And that.
She's right. But what they have to do, and Marcel Dixon has the right terminology for it. You can't say FBA, you can't say Black, African American. Freemen. Supreme Court Judge Thomas threw a bone at you guys. He threw you a little hint with the decision. With his opinion on the affirmative action ruling, he mentioned freedmen. He's telling you the language that you need. You can't say Black. All this stuff has to be tightened up. Freemen. It's like Marcel Dixon, where they're getting at Trump now about a Freemen's Bureau. Freemen's Bureau. Like they have a Bureau of Native American Affairs. They need one for the freedmen. That cuts out all the folks from God knows where. Because you're not an American. That money should be circulated among Americans only for a specific situation.
That's what it's become. I listed in that column you mentioned, Peter, because it always makes me laugh that all the good diversity jobs are going to immigrants. There was Claudine Gay, the head of a lot of the affirmative action programs, and there are like 200 affirmative action or DEI administrators. They're often
ridiculous.
They're Indians, a lot of Indians. And I went through all of the immigrant hosts on MSNBC, and I forget, there are like 8 of them. And 3 or 4 foundational Black Americans. And I know, MSNBC, they're so proud of their diversity. No, it's not about diversity. It's about integrating Black Americans into mainstream American life, and giving them benefits to make up for slavery and Jim Crow. I think, some affirmative action programs went a little far and aren't really helping, but.
Yeah. They have to tighten that up. Because when it came in, well, let's let her finish.
That's what it's about, and we've completely pretended to forget what the point of this was.
And Coulter, the text disappeared. There was a text in my preview that I wanted to get you to answer. It's from Carol in Boston, and she says, as we approach the 250th anniversary of the U.S., who is your favorite and least favorite president of modern time?
It's a cliche, but I mean, you kind of have to give it to George Washington. If you want me to skip the cliches, Calvin Coolidge. And least favorite, LBJ. It's very, very dangerous when Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. I think the LBJ period was the most destructive period in American history. The last time I think Democrats had all 3 branches, wasn't that the first 2 years of the Obama administration? And yep, took away my health care. I couldn't keep my doctor.
Yeah, I was pissed off. I did not like that at all. You have a plan that you like, and I like the price, but they force you off of that, then force you on a plan that's like 3 times more expensive. So you're taking money from us to give it to someone who's broke. That I have to pay more into it. If you wanted to do something like that, how about you cut out some of those foreign aid packages and put the money into that? Don't make me broke while you send the money overseas.
I think that was an absolute disaster. But under LBJ we got the 1964 Immigration Act, and that has perhaps destroyed the country irrevocably. Also got a lot of terrible dysfunctional social welfare programs, and he was just a really bad person. Not that I care if your policies are good.
I'm gonna cut it off there. So you heard what she said. Kamala Harris isn't foundational black. She's not. If her father came from Jamaica, that means she's from another tribe. Even if he was black, I believe he was mixed. So if she's so-called black, she's like a quarter Negro. And I'm not voting for somebody because they're black. That's one of the stupidest reasons. Well, they look like me. I'm going to vote for them. We got to step our game up, Americans. Like I said, welfare should be abolished. They have to fix the divorce laws. I don't have a problem with no-fault divorce if you forfeit the right to a settlement. If you want a divorce because you're not happy, that's it. You go your way, the other person goes their way. None of this, I'm not happy, half. That's insane. When women enter the workforce, the laws for divorce should have been upgraded. The alimony stuff, that should be for housewives, and it should be limited. House husbands, I don't know any man who wants to be a house husband, but it should be limited. You shouldn't pay a person for the rest of their lives. When they file, you have to get rid of that. Welfare should be homesteaded. Fix that goddamn border. No more birthright citizenship, or how it's interpreted, because that's not what the people who drafted the Constitution or the 14th Amendment was referring to. Like she said, it wasn't for somebody that's 8 months pregnant running across the border to have a baby. So it's been going on for a long time because somebody wants it to happen. California was a test bed for that. Black folks. The black vote in California ain't shit. You've been drowned out. Rainbow Coalition, Jesse Jackson, Double Agent. John Henry Clark told you the truth. You have no friends. All tribes are competitors. Period. You know, that doesn't mean you have to hate anybody, but know and understand that anyone who's not like you is a competitor. You have to compete with the other tribes. They're not your friend. That meeting they had, the LA Council, I'm not mad at them. People, oh, they're racist and this. So what? They're doing what they believe can get more resources for their people. You should be thinking the exact same thing. Anyways, brothers, we're going to wrap it up. Do your brother man a favor. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you brothers in the next video. Peace.